Hey everyone, this is Ligida. In this video, we're basically learning about Hive, which is a local database kind. So, you might be wondering how do we save data in locally, because if you could see in the few apps that you already have, like a Google Note or maybe any other apps that usually stores data locally, even without internet, you kind of see the data that you are entered, or kind of like a notes app where you see the notes even without data, right? This all basically you're storing data in locally. So the thing here is, how do we use this Hive in our projects? Like, how do we save the data is the first thing that we are learning today. Before we actually getting started with the Hive and learning about Hive, first let's see what we have done as for now. So I just created a simple app which basically taking the list of your shopping. Like, I can just enter whatever the list I want and it kind of add to my list. So this is basically what I'm doing in this app. So why did I take this app? Because it's easy for a beginner if you are have no idea about how Hive works or a big project works, how Flutter basically works. If you want to learn a simple Hive concept, this is for you. This is for you. So, but in the all and also I have did a good major Hive explanation in a big project like a to-do app, state management. To be honest, how do we combine the state management also with the Hive? It can be explained in the Flutter series that I have posted in my YouTube channel, so you can watch that also. This for someone who is like new and wants to learn about the topic. Okay, let me explain you how this app is, like a quick explanation of how it is built. It is a simple, as I told, it is a simple app. If I can just remove it because it's just a memory saved. So what do I mean by memory is, okay, first I'll explain what is the UI. So just have this main app, if you could see, and which has, it is rendering basically, and my app which is a stateful widget. Okay, inside that I have this scaffold and a safe area which is guiding with the padding, and inside that we have a column which takes a three element. If you could see, the one is a text and second one is uh, the text input text field, and next one is an expanded, that is nothing but a list view. We are using a list view because it will be a list which is more than elements, more than 4 to 5 elements, so that's why we are using a list view, which is a good way. Then which is basically returning a row. If I just enter something like I want to buy a milk as a shopping list, I'm getting a row which is rendering a text and also delete icon. And what is this data? Basically it is storing, it's an array. So what I've just did it, I've created a array. So this, every time when I enter, when I click on this input, when it is submitting, it is basically adding the elements to this empty array. Okay, but if you could see, if I just hot restart it again, if I just do hot restart, which nothing but the states will be again, it clears every state, again it comes back to 0. Basically it is building it again. So the moment when it comes first, it is showing as a 0, the element doesn't have, which is not saved. So it is just like it is saved in a memory for a moment, and when you do hot restart, it just goes away. So we didn't do any state management. uh, it is basically a memory one, it is saving and it is getting removed. Okay, I hope you have understood it. So what would we just do, if you go to the text field here, see, as I do on submit, whatever the input I'm getting, I'm just putting that into the shopping list. So shopping list is nothing but an empty array. I'm just adding whatever the element or the input that I'm entering here, and as soon I entered, I want that input to be clear. So whenever, if you could see, if I click, if I type anything and if I hit save, the input will be always clear because I have used input value dot clear. I want it to be clear as soon I entered. So this is all about the app that I've made still now. And if I click on this icon delete, which has a gesture detector, when I on tap it, I'm just removing with that index. So I'm basically removing it from the list. So this simple array thing that I'm doing, I'm adding the element to the array and I'm removing from the array. This is the simple thing I'm doing. Okay. The next thing that we have concentrate or the all the video is all about is Hive. So let's jump into the Hive. Okay. If you are a completely beginner, Hive is nothing but it's just a local database. As I told, if you could come across many apps that usually don't need internet, it could able to save without internet, and as soon as the internet is on, it just sync it to the online. That's all. So how that it can be done is like how the local database it can be done is using a Hive, and we also have many other things, but Hive is a simple. If you are beginner and if your app is so simple and not too much complex, Hive is the one they prefer. So it's like a local database. It's like kind of a key and value stored. You can think Hive as a container or a box. Okay, it's just like a box. It is going to store all your value in a key and value pair. You're getting idea, right? It's just like a box. So you're giving a box to your app. Whenever your app wants to say something, it will save inside the that container or that box with some name that you give, and anytime you want that, you can retrieve that from that box. So this the whole concept of Hive. So when it comes to Hive, you have to do three main things. One is you have to initialize Hive. What do you mean by initialize? As soon as you run the app, we want Hive to be initialized. As I told, Hive is just a box, right? We want that box to be opened. We want that box to be set up and opened. Okay, first we have to set up that box, then we have to open that box. So then whenever we want, we can get the data from that box. Clear? So as I told, I'll just give an example. I'll teach you how it is. See, as I told, it's just a box. Okay, I'll give a name to the box. Let's say now it is shopping list. The name of the box is shopping list, and each box will have something that contain. It will be usually in a key and value pair. Here we are telling we want to contain an array of elements which is an value, and we are giving a label or a key that is called list. You're getting a point, right? What do we want to store? We want to store an array of elements, and that's nothing but a value, and my list, it's just a key. So each shopping list will have a key and a value that we are storing. So I hope this is clear for you people, and do check the Hive document. There's few things that you have to, if you are like stuck in between, it's good and better to go into the docs and study from there, or just have a glance. Okay, the first thing that we have to do is, as I told, we have to initialize the Hive. So for that we have to install two things. One is Hive and a Hive Flutter. So you can just go to here, you can get the dependency, like you can just copy and paste, and you can run pub get, or you can just do Flutter pub with the add Hive. Okay, I just copy and come back to the code. Okay, right here, if I just go to the terminal and if I just paste it, which will run, and it will install the Flutter pub Hive. And also you have to remember, you have to also install Flutter Hive. Okay, there's a two main important thing that you have to install. One is an Hive and another one is an Hive Flutter. So why do we want this two different dependencies? So Hive is basically the normal dependency, the one local database that we wanted, and this Hive Flutter is basically, it gives a path for us. What do you mean by path is, as we told, we want to store some data, right? We want to store a data that is locally, but we never mentioned where it have to store. It wants some directory, it wants file, it want some place it have to be stored. That's what this Hive Flutter does. It gives some helper function that help us to store the data somewhere in the file. See, if you don't specify where we want our data be stored, like whether in the Android files or in the iOS or whatever, if you don't give in specific, Flutter want that help. So for that only we use this Hive Flutter. Basically it tells us a path. So let's go back to the main. So make sure you have did this pub get and all after installing it. Later that we just have to use that import statement that we have. So we have this import statement, copy this import statement and come back to the app. So right here, not here, I'm sorry, right up here, just paste the import statement that we have imported. So the next important thing about Hive is we have imported we have imported the package that we wanted. The next thing is we want to initialize it. What do you mean by initialize this? Basically, whenever the app start, before that only we have to you have to create a box and you have to set up few things before you actually start something. Like, you're basically telling before UI starts or you create a UI, you basically make sure the database is correctly and proper setup. Example, if I give you, whenever you want to study for a longer duration, like more like 4 to 6 hours or 8 hours, you make sure you keep all your things that is so much required, like example your books or your stationary things, your like water bottle or snacks, so you don't have to get up and go or get distracted in between, so your long enough of the time doesn't waste, right? So you are making sure you are sitting straight or the 6 hours, so everything that is required will be firstly taken before you sit. So you are just conscious about, before I study or before I sit for the study, I'll make sure all the requirements has been marked or taken away or kept separately. So this is what we do before the app start. We are making sure the Hive, that is a local database, is been initialized. It has been started. The box has been created. Clear? So how do we do that? And also where do we do that? So if you could see the first function that function, that is the main function. This is the actual what do you call, the main function that runs when the app loads, right? You are clear about this. So the moment it runs, it tells I want to run this my app, which is nothing but a stateful widget. So here it is the first where we have to tell we want something like a Hive to be initialized. Hive database to be initialized. So why should we do that before the app starts is because we don't want to form a confusion. Like, see, the moment if you're doing the initialization and also calling the content from that box in the same place, then the app might crash. So we wanted that to initialize in the main, because before any widgets are being built, any UI is built, we want our database to be ready. Clear? So first what we'll do, and you always remember, whenever you're calling a data or you're kind of setting something which is takes a lot of time, which can hold your UI, that is like a asynchronous task. You might familiar with an API fetch and all, right? It takes a kind of amount, like it's like a, it takes quite amount. It is not synchronized. It doesn't happen in a sequence of time. It takes little extra time, which needs a time. So if you let that to be synchronized, then it might block your UI, which is very bad experience. So we don't want our UI to be blocked. We want it to go on, and we want a asynchronous task to be going on the background. We want that to be done in a background. Whenever the task is done, we just want to take it and pull it in the UI. Clear? For that we usually use this async and await, right? Why do we use this async and await? Because initializing database, creating a box is kind of a asynchronous task which will take time. So we don't know how much time it takes. We are like letting it to build in the background. So okay. Then what we want is, we want to make sure the Flutter widgets are been binded. It is nothing but we have something called widget flutter blinding dot ensure initialize. So we are telling Flutter that, hey Flutter, whatever the things that I'm going to give for the next few lines, that is like a few resources, like I want to initialize Hive, or I want the provider to be there, whatever, I want that to be ready before my app runs. So you are telling a Flutter, okay, just ensuring that has been initialized. So you are telling Hive should be initialized. Okay, init flutter. So you're basically telling we want to initialize the flutter, Hive flutter. So here we have completed initialize process. So what did we do? We just make sure before our app has been ready, before it we are just initializing the Hive, which is nothing but a database. We are preparing database. So the next thing we have to do is, as I told, Hive is just a box, right? It's like a container which takes a key and value pair of data inside it. So let's create a Hive box. So how do we create it? We are using await because we want that task to be wait in, like these things have been somewhere we want, right? I told async and await, right? It's kind of it's an asynchronous task which basically takes a lot of time, but we use async await basically because this all have to wait. I mean, until we get a data, we don't want this to be run. That's why we tend to use async and await. We are telling until we get this successful, until this is initialized, you have to wait. So we are telling that you have to wait until you completely done with this. Okay. So we are telling Hive dot, we want to create a box that is nothing but open the box, and you have to give a box a name. Let's say shopping list. So your box name is a shopping list. So what did we do? We just initialize the Hive, and we have created a box called shopping list. I hope this is clear. So what did we did until now? Right now is we have initialized the Hive and we have opened up the box. Now it's time for us to get a data. I mean store or get the data. Okay, the next thing what we have to do, when the app loads, if there is some kind of memory, or if there is a memory in the Hive, I mean memory means a data, if there is a data in the Hive, let's say there's a list of data which is already stored in the Hive, then we want it to be render. We want to read the data. Right now, yeah, it's an empty data, I understand. But let's say if there is a data, what we have to do, we want to read. So how can we read that? So the first, whenever you want to read a data from Hive in the stateful widget, like when the widgets are being started or widgets have been created, we have a init state, which is nothing but, you have to remember stateful widget lifecycle. There's a init, there's a dispose. These are the lifecycle. Okay, this method will be run as soon as the state has been created. Okay, as soon as the state is created, we want to read data from the local database, and we want our UI to be like that. We want our local, I mean whatever the data has been created, I mean whatever data has been there, the list have to be there in the actual UI. Okay, so what we'll do, as soon we initialize, I mean as soon the state has been created, we want it to load. If we want, I mean what did we do here is, we just have opened this box, right? We have created, or we have opened this box. Now I can read any data from this box. So what I'll do set state, which is nothing but whenever there's a change in a state, we want this to be running again. That's why we are using set state. So we are telling Hive dot, so we want to read from the box. So what is the box? The box name, you have to make sure the box name is proper because it's so much essential. So you are telling the box name is shop list, and you are telling I need to read from there. So what I'll just write, so nothing but basically you are reading, you are getting some data. So you'll use a method get, which has two things. One is a get and get at. So you can see two major things, that is a get at, right? This because this you can do two things. One is you can just store only single element, or you can store a key with a element. There is key and value pair, or with a single element. We are following key and value pair, so we'll use a get. So what we want our key to be, my list. So what is this key and box difference is, see, remember the difference between the box and the key is super simple. If you could observe in the diagram what I told, the box name have kept as a shopping list, and the key is my list. So what is the key is nothing but, as I told, if you could already been familiar with this objects, where we have a key and a values, right? Here the value is a full list of an array. Here whatever the element you enter will be here, like let's say shoes, okay, slippers or dresses. So these kind of elements will be stored here. So you are getting the point, right? So the key is nothing but just an the name that we are giving to hold this whole complete array. Okay, so the box name is shopping list, but in the shopping list we are basically referring to my list. Clear? Okay, the next thing that we are doing is, so what did we do is, so we have initialized, we have opened the box. So as soon the state has been created, we want to read a data from the box. If there is any data that has been stored locally, we want to store that. And what are we doing right now is, we are getting data and we are just keeping it. We are not storing it somewhere, we are just keeping and throwing it away. So what do we have to do if we want to store? We have to store that inside a variable. We already have this array variable, right, which is an empty array. So we have to tell whenever you get any data which has been stored locally, which is an array of list, we want to fill that here. Okay, we want to keep that we want a shopping list to be whatever the data that has been there, we want that to be this. I hope you are understanding the thing. So whatever the data we are reading from database, we are storing it. We already have a variable shopping list which is an empty array for now. Usually in memory it's an empty. So we are telling we don't want that to be empty. If there is a data, let it be with the data that is already been there. And let's say for now there's no element, there's no list, there's nothing in the list, right? Then what will it throw? If there's nothing in the list, it will become null, and which might crash our app. We don't want that to happen. So we are saying if there's nothing in the list, we want that to be null. We don't have to use or if like question mark. It's an operator, like if in case there's no element, if there's a null operator, we are just saying let it return an empty list. Clear? Okay, that is like, as for now it is done. Next what we have to do is, whenever I had a list, we want that to be saved in a Hive. Where it is actually saving, the moment when I click text field, the moment when I click on the on submit, when I click enter, okay, whatever the element or the input that I enter inside this text field, it will be added onto the shopping list, which is an list, which is an empty array, right? For now it has become an empty array, but as soon if there is an list, data in a database, it will be filled. Okay, so shopping list will add to that input. Basically you are adding input to that array. Okay, now I want to do what is fine. After this adding to the list, I want to save that to be data. So what I'll do hive dot box. So you're not creating, you're referring the box. What is the box name? Shopping list. So you just copy that, come back here, paste it, and you just have to say I just want to add there's nothing add here, sorry, you don't have to add, you have to put, because there's a difference between add and put. See, if you want to use add, you just have to use this dynamic only single value, but we are tend to following the key and pair value. We just have to do put, because which has two values to be added. One is key, which is nothing but a my list that I have created, and what value I have to put. The what is the value is nothing but here I want to in the list I wanted to be entered this shopping list. The value is a shopping list. Okay, so what I am doing is, whenever there's some element is added to the in memory, like if you're adding that to the empty list, so there's an array, right? So inside the array you are adding element. So as soon you add element to the array, I want to save that array to my list. Clear? So what I'll do, I'll just enter few elements like let's say I want to buy new pair of shoes, and if I click on enter, which will be added to the list, as you could see here, right? So if I enter one more list called I want to buy new pair of clothes or new dress or something, or just a dress, fine. So if I click on enter, it will be added to the list. Okay, now if I just close the app, let's say if I just want to rerun, or if I want to close, or I can just do restart, right? I can just do restart. You can just close the app, and if you could restart also, you can see the data here. Okay, if you want, I can even show this also. I'll just close this app for now. Okay, the app is closed. You can see it is all closed. I will restart it again, which will take a little time. So the app is running. It has been started. Yeah, here we are. So we are getting the data, and it has been stored. Even if you close the app, we are getting the old data that we did. Okay. So now, as for what we did is, we have created Hive, we have created a box, we have added the element to the box. The next thing that we have to do is, we have to delete this, and it have to be permanent. It have to be saved locally. Whenever we open the app, that whatever the thing that we have deleted should be deleted, right? So already we have this if you could see icon, we have this delete icon, which has been wrapped with a gesture detector, because whenever we tap, it has been deleting in memory but not in the Hive. What is in memory is nothing but even if I try to delete this, it will delete, but if I try to restart it, it will come back. See, if I do restart, I'll get the same element back because it has been deleted in memory, not in the Hive. See, I can see the element. If I want to delete that in database also, I can just write Hive dot, and I have to write the box name. That is nothing but a shopping list. I'll just copy that. Okay, I'll come back here, paste it down, and here, and I want to delete it. Since I am using a key and value pair, I'll use put only because we want it to be in a key and value pair. If it is to be in a single value, we can use delete. Okay, we wanted that to be in a key and value, and my key is my list. And so what we want to do, we want to, whatever the element has been removed from the list, that have to be updated in the Hive, that is in the local database. Clear? Now if I delete a new pair of shoes, and if I do hot restart, which will restart the state again, basically what it do is it restarts state again, which we don't see the element. You're getting the thing, right? So what did we do? Using Hive, we basically added element, we removed element, we can also edit elements. So this is a simple example for who seeking for a simple example. Okay, if they want to learn Hive as a simple example, this is for them. If you're someone who's like stuck with the state management, also with the along with the local database, there's also one more video that I've did using a state management and also Hive. You basically building a to-do list. So that is like a kind of little bigger complex project. It's not too much complex, but yeah, it's a moderate project that you can refer if you want to, if you are ready for the next step. So that's all for today's video.